Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And welcome, everybody, to a special noontime edition of the Critical Blast podcast. We are here today to delve once more into crowdfunded comics, and we are doing this at noon because time differences. There's this timey-wimey thing where, you know, the Earth is round, the sun's out here, it kind of spins as it goes around it, and because of that, while it's sunlight straight overhead here, it's setting over in England. So if I want to talk to people in England, we're going to do things earlier so that we're not rousing them out of bed at 3 a.m, because that's just not polite, right? Okay, so it's easier for us to move back. And tonight, see, I'm in a habit. Today, we are going to talk with Aleandro. And did I say that? I put that J in there, didn't I? It's Aleandro.
It's Aleandro. Yes, but it's all right. I don't mind. Thank you, RJ, for having me on. How you guys doing?
Doing well. And of course, you got written on your video there that it's Alex. So you've anglicized it for us.
Yes, that's right.
And your comic book that we're pushing here today is Columns of Creation. Now, this is not launched yet. This is still in the sort of the
pre-launch phase. Yeah. It's to be launched soon. Date to be decided at this point.
All right. So still, you've got what is the? I've never done a pre-launch with Indiegogo. I know it's so long, and then they say, "Hey, we're taking it down because you haven't launched yet." So, how many days do they give you?
How many days? They give you months. They give you 6 months, I believe.
Oh, that's a plenty of time.
Yes, but anyone can. They take whatever time they want.
Are you blessed with pizza?
Yeah, so I always want pizza myself. So
I almost said I had Mexican, but I had Taco Bell, and I'm sure that's nowhere near the same thing.
I think I'm having KFC tonight. I'm gonna be honest.
I was just in Walmart last night. While my wife was getting groceries, I wandered the other aisles to see what's around there, and I went down the aisle with the starter logs for fireplaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they have a KFC fire log.
What?
It's seriously, it's wrapped up in white and red with the Colonel's face on it, and it smells like they're fried chicken while it's in your fireplace.
Oh my God! Now, who wants that? You'll be constantly tempted to eat food that gets your bees.
I know. It's like, I wasn't hungry before we lit the fire, honey, but we're all snuggled up and warm and cozy. How about I run out and get a bucket?
Yeah, I don't know. Jesus Christ.
It's just proof that he really does put an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm craving it so badly today. I gotta have it.
Do you get the original recipe or the extra crispy?
I'm not sure I don't know that they do the extra crispy here. I always get the Mighty Bucket. It's called the Mighty Bucket over here. Do you have a different name for it? It's like a bucket with 2 pieces of chicken, 2 would be original recipe, then 2 chicken strips and 2 wings, I believe. Oh, yeah.
Chicken.
And some fries. You get fries as well.
I haven't been to KFC in years. Drive past it all the time. I drive past it on my way to Popeyes or Chick-fil-A. That's where I go get my chicken.
Yeah. Well, I guess you have more options over there in terms of fried chicken. You're kind of the owners of fried chicken.
Yeah, I suppose we are. Bap says he just got the stove working in his house, so now you can throw one of those Kentucky Fried Chicken starter logs into it and just heat it up and make the house smell wonderful.
That's right.
So, is this your first comic book, Aleandro?
Yes, it is.
So how long have you been percolating on this idea that you're like, one of these days I'm going to make this a comic book?
Well, I had the idea of this particular comic 2 years ago. And for a year, I've been, sketching stuff, characters, ideas, sequels, and so on and so on. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, maybe, when did it happen? February So maybe it was around April, I actually decided to hire a team of people to go for it. I've been watching, CG and Indiegogo, crowdfunders, just crowdfunders in general. In the past year, I've been studying it, um, and I was like, no better time than now at this point. I mean, how long are you going to study something before you actually start doing it yourself?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so about 2 years.
Okay. Do you think that you would have still tried to create the comic book the traditional route if crowdfunding hadn't been a thing?
Well, here's the thing: this comic has been pitched to comic book publishers, which is the reasons why there are 6 pages available so far, because most publishers require 6 pages, and I've had a few rejections, and there are still a few that I'm waiting for, but I'm not I'm not waiting on them any longer, to be completely honest with you.
Sure.
I've waited long enough. It's been 3 or 4 months at this point. So, I mean, if it wasn't for crowdfunding, I wouldn't have any other way to put this comic book out. The comic book publishers would be the end all be all. That's it. There wouldn't be any other route.
And I think that's one of the reasons why your boy Zach dropped his lawsuit against Mark Waid, because one of the reasons he was sticking with it, he had stated, was so that no other independent creator would have someone interfere with get between him and a publisher. And I think over the last year and a half to 2 years, the realization has come that you don't need a publisher anymore. You are the publisher. You need a printer, and the printers don't care.
That's right. You need a printer, and possibly you need a distributor, and that would be you, of course. You are doing some awesome work.
Well, we've got some awesome plans. I'll do the work when the first box of comics arrives, but I can't turn the laptop around. But we do got the label printer and the postal scale all hooked up here behind it, and I have tested it and printed my first labels. We are ready to go. We just need some books to put into Gemini mailers.
That's right. It really sounds awesome. You see, something beautiful and thriving is blossoming from this community, from all over the places. Whether it be writing, art, distribution, printing, like everybody's chipping in a way or another, and I love that.
It's a renaissance of many kinds. Alex, we do this thing every year on criticalblast.com where we talk about, we it's an award. We have the best of 2020. This is a misprint. That's why I have this one still.
All right.
The trophy company gave it, let me keep it. But we vote. We let the readers vote on the best movie, the best television, best actors, and of course we have the best comic and the comic writer and comic artist as part of those categories. And every year it's like 7 or 8 in each one of those, because it's whatever the big events were at Marvel and DC that year, a crossover storyline of some kind, and a couple of independents. We're probably over 20 nominees for best comic this year alone, because of crowdfunding and all the really good and cool books that delivered. That was the rule. They had to have actually delivered a book in 2020, and they're just pushing the big two to the side here and just standing toe to toe with them on the line, saying, "Yep, our comic is also best of."
Absolutely. Not only toe to toe, even better, to be completely honest. Like even just I'm not gonna boast. I wouldn't do that if I was the artist, but our own comic book, the level. I mean, this is what people have been saying so far, anyway. The level of it is more professional of some Marvel or DC comics as well. Like there's a Marvel comic, Captain Marvel comic, that has been discussed by Ethan as well, made fun of, and rightfully so. There was a portrayal of Captain Marvel. She looked like a swine, basically, in the face. She did not look nice, and I mean, and that's product that is being put out by Marvel.
Yeah,
And
there's no editorial. There's no
yeah,
editorial at Marvel anymore, or at DC for that matter. It's
yes,
just, did it pass spell check?
yeah,
Maybe. Uh,
yeah. I mean, when you make your characters look like uh, animals, basically their noses are caved in, they're just not appealing, their eyes are crossing. I mean, just to make it clear for the viewers, whoever watches this, when I say she looked like Swain, I don't mean that in an insulting manner. I literally mean like she did not look human.
she literally
So
looked like she escaped from the island of Dr. Moreau.
yeah. So, and again, that's stuff that is being put out by the big two. So please,
Yeah,
like, we are putting out content that is of a lot higher quality.
yeah. Independents really are right now, and it used to be the other way around. But last night we had R.J. Shaw on here with his comic book Thomas Valiant, which you might have
Hmm.
seen popping around Twitter. And we were looking at the artwork from Renzo, the guy he's got doing his pages. And I was like, 5 years ago, I would have said, you won't be able to keep this guy because the big two are going to snatch him up.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you're perfectly safe with him because he's too good for the big two.
Yeah.
They'd look at us like, no, we can't publish this. You got to dumb this down and make it more, Tumblr.
That's right. It's really quite strange. And to be honest with you, I had the same worry as well with my artist. And then I actually realized that Marvel and DC are dying. They can't afford to hire new talent like that. Um, I mean, look at how many comics they're putting out these days. So I'm quite confident that he's gonna stay put, especially because working at Marvel, he doesn't get a chance to create characters like he did on this comic book. I've never said this before, but the character you're looking at right now, Paradox, which is the villain of the story, this is co-created by me and him, um, because I always knew what I wanted Paradox to represent as a character, but I was never able to visualize him in my mind. And I did a few sketches that had nothing to do with the final version. But the final result is a mixture of suggestions, make him, I sent my artist a picture of the glitch effect, because Paradox is the embodiment of black holes. So it was very complex. How do you visually represent a character that is a black hole? So in the end, we came up with this. It was a joint effort, and he doesn't get to do that working at Marvel or DC because these characters are owned by them.
So I know that I'm getting ahead of us here talking about the pillars of creation and the characters that you're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
I know that they are anthropomorphic manifestations of elemental forces of the universe.
That's right.
So is it fair to say that Paradox is also the elemental anthropomorphic personification? I love those big words. Is he black holes come to life? Is he the living body of entropy?
That's
Or
right.
is he somebody else?
He's the living embodiment of black holes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sucks to be him. Had to say.
Well, I'll tell you, we don't know anything about black holes. We don't know what's beyond them. And we think that it's death for us because human beings can't make it through a black hole without dying. But what if we were able to make it through a black hole? Would there be life there? Is it a doorway to something else, somewhere, somewhen else? It's the universe is a mystery, and that's why we're gonna have a lot of fun with this story because we can explore pretty much anything, anywhere, and anytime.
Now, I just saw in the news that a black hole disappeared somewhere. So is Paradox on his way? Did he leave that galaxy? And
Well, so Paradox, and I've said this before, so it's not a spoiler, but Paradox is already on our planet when the story takes place. He's living among us peacefully, and he's made a family for himself. But things change, so he's not a threat when the story starts.
okay. So
Yeah.
so he's one of those guys that, if you'd have just left me alone, everything would have
That's
been fine.
He's kind of like a Magneto type character, but without the MalcolmXian, side to him. Because I don't really tackle those kind of things. This is about the character. Well, I say that, but maybe a character, there might be a MalcolmXian type character in the future. It all depends on how well this comic book does. But for those who have no idea what the comic is about, Columns of Creation is the story of the embodiments of the elements of nature. In my story, they're cosmic beings, so they come from space. They come to our world to experience life, to live as human beings. They will disguise themselves as humans. Why? Because they're bored, because they're depressed, because they feel unaccomplished, because they've spent millennia in space, creating stars and worlds and such, and yet they feel like they haven't really lived life. So they come to our world, and they get to experience some fun fun, exciting things that they've never gotten to experience before. Things that perhaps to us, we take for granted.
Yeah.
But when they do it, it's interesting. And their journey is abruptly interrupted by paradox. Now, that is the story of the first arc. I need to be specific about this. In the first volume, which is the first arc, is volume 1 and 2. In the first volume, we're going to see the beginning of that adventure. We're going to see them come to our world and struggle with infiltrating our society as alien beings who do not exist in our database, who don't have a birth certificate, don't even have money to buy a fake document. How are they going to do that? Now, you could say, well, can they just create something? Well, here's the thing. These are three-dimensional characters with morals, and they have decided, as this is a vacation to them, they have decided not to create anything, since that
Okay.
is their thing. So they'll have to find alternative ways to get around what they need to do.
And it makes sense that they would want to come and live as humans because to get into that, I'd have to say Grant Morrison proposed this theory a while back when he was doing Animal Man, the comic, where he said, hey, I'm the creator, and Animal Man is the creation, and he is going to be better than me. He's going to be an idealized version of the world I would like to live in, and the characters I would like to be like.
Yeah.
And then he took that a step back, and he says, just like we are better than the people who created us. Speaking of a godlike person, it's like we're being written. Why would you write something that's lesser than yourself? You would create something better than yourself.
That's right.
So I could see why these elements of creation would say, hey, let's go live among the creation that we've made, because we made it for a reason. We made it good. We made it better.
Well, here's the thing. They didn't specifically create us. They created our planet, and the theory of the evolution stands in this story. Mankind came to be through evolution. We were monkeys and such and such. If you believe in that, you don't have to. It's just a story. It doesn't matter. In the context of the story, they created our planet, and then the planet naturally evolved to give birth to mankind and all of the other species that populate it. But that sentiment still exists within their hearts. These are, some people thought, are these like, godlike beings who look at us, puny humans? They just want to have fun. No, I actually had when I submitted my comic book to a publisher, they sent me, with the rejection, I asked, can you give me some feedback? And they said, sure, we'll send you the opinion of one of our reviewers. And the reviewer compared this comic book to The Wicked and the Divine. Now, I actually tried to read The Wicked and the Divine, and I threw it in the trash. It's the first comic I've ever thrown in the trash. First comic I was enjoying, and I threw in the trash. Why did I throw it in the trash? Because the Wicked and the Divine is well written. It's written by some guy, I don't remember his name, who is not necessarily a good person, but he is a good writer. He's writing another awesome comic for Boom, I think. Um, and the art was nice and the idea was interesting, but there was just too much identity politics in there, which is the thing that keeps on driving people away. And that's an example of where a customer, myself, was driven away. But by reading that comic book, when I read that review, I was uniquely qualified in knowing just how much incorrect that person was. Because The Wicked and the Divine is, for you who don't know, is a story about these gods who come to our world. They don't come to our world, they are reborn, reincarnated in our world every like 80 years or something. Um, and they are assholes. They are absolute assholes. They are completely unlikable. They hate men. Like there was this black goddess who hates all men, and just they're not nice. They're not nice beings. They're not nice people. Whereas the columns of creation are quite the opposite of that. Some of them at times might feel superior, but they'll be put in their place by their brothers or sisters, because some of them realize that mankind was able to accomplish wonders in our short time on this planet without the use of superpowers and flight and transmutation and what have you. So we're actually quite awesome. And so that's the kind of story that I'm telling. It's a story filled with hope and appreciation for our world in a time where I fear we need it the most, where, if you're losing faith in society, this is the kind of comic book you want to read. Hopefully we will be able to restore it. So it's nothing like The Wicked and the Divine. It's a very different type of story.
It sounds like they're going to be characters that readers are going to liking rather than be
That's
interesting
right.
character, but she hates everybody.
That's right.
So I'm looking at the characters here, and I'm going to assume that most of them are represented in this image off to the right here.
Well, so yes, all of them except for Earth. You can see a little bit of Earth just on the right, on your left to Water. He's right behind the last few characters at the back, but the image was cut. But you can see the cover on the website, columnsofcreation.com. So thank you for that.
I'm putting it out there.
Thank you. And actually, you can see a lot of things on the website. I actually worked very hard on it. I did it. There's an example of how a completely inept person can actually put together a decent website. I think it's decent. And
Go ahead and bring it up.
what's that?
I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up here.
Yeah, there you go. So the website has several pages, and you find all the main stuff on the main page. There you go. So that's Earth right there, big green guy.
Oh, he's huge.
Yeah.
This is the image I should have used for the thumbnail.
No, it's all right. I think the image you used still does justice.
I like your logo here too. This is very nice.
Thank you. The logo was designed by Dave Lentz. He's my letterist, and he does graphic design for me as well. He's designing. He designed the trading cards we're going to be putting out with this campaign, and he's probably going to put together the images that will be the perks, and all that kind of fun stuff, like unlocking what's going to unlock it and so on and so on. Because I just give them money. I don't know what the hell they do, and I'm pretty good with. I have good taste, so nothing gets past me that doesn't look good. So in the end, we join our forces and we put together a professional-looking product, hopefully.
All right. So this is not an all ages book, by the way. I should probably point out.
It's not an all ages book, but you can totally read it if you are, I don't know, 15, 16. What's a good age for it? It's not necessarily the nudity. You see, I would get rid of the nudity because I don't even think there needs to be any nudity. I could totally put a bra on that girl, for instance. The thing is that the comic book will go to more mature conversations later on. It might tackle politics, religion, philosophy, life and death. So I don't think that at that point it's right for me to cater to a younger audience starting even now, because they won't be interested at that point, or
Oh,
they might not be interested.
plus you don't want to ever get it settled right up front where
Yeah,
things could go, because the last thing you want to do is have an issue one that's appealing to all ages, and then
that's
you've got
right.
younger kids coming in for issue number two and getting hit
That's
with
right.
that's going to surprise parents. And
Absolutely.
yeah, let them know right up front. No, this is not going to be for you later down the road. You have a trailer here, and I'm ready to click on it and play it. If this is this the trailer, or is this
This is the trailer. Yeah.
all right? Well, let me give it full screen, and we're going to take a look at the work here.
Thank you, man.
When you have two screens, it's hard to tell where your mouse is, especially when my mouse is on the big screen and I'm watching it go across the video here. I'm like, why aren't you? Oh, you're over here, and I'm seeing the replay.
All right.
Okay, that is very cool. I like it short and to the point, and what it reminds me of, not a cosmic kind of thing, but if you read the 1970s run of Metal Men, they all had their unique personalities and abilities, because there was like lead and gold and mercury, and they also were given human identities, and I'm guessing if they're going to live among us, they're going to have a human form.
That's right.
To blend in.
Yeah.
Do their inherent abilities get reflected in their personalities in any way?
That's interesting. No. There is definitely a well, in a way, perhaps, but there's definitely a connection between them. Let's say light and dark. They're very close to each other. They have a special connection. Earth and water also have a special connection. Fire and wind are supposed to have a special connection, but they don't. They are wind is resentful towards his brother for reasons, and fire, he feels tumultuous feelings inside, but what drives the story, what begins the story, he is the catalyst of the story, is his passion for mankind. So passion, fire,
It's a burning passion, you might say.
that's right. And wind, he is very much he's very forward, he's very decisive, is very proud, very confident, much like wind is, all those things, right? Moves you forward, and so on and so on. Water is playful, and unpredictable, and so on and so on. But so yeah, I guess so. Maybe in a way, it did. Yeah, there is an element that is in the story.
Yeah, you would see that in the Metal Men with Mercury was hot-headed, mercurial, and always snapping at people.
Yeah,
Lead
that's
was
cool.
slow, and he thought real slow, and he talked real slow. Gold was, of course, no, the golden boy. He was out in front of everything.
That's cool.
So
I didn't watch it.
Great.
I didn't watch it, but I grew up with other things similar that inspired the comic Sailor Moon. It's maybe a little gay. I don't care.
Sailor Moon's hot.
Yeah. Sailor Moon, they also had that thing, they had Mercury, and they all had different colors, and Power Rangers, a little less gay.
Yeah.
Power Rangers, different colors, and Power Rangers was one of the inspirations for it. I like the idea of having a team member that each have their own color, and I wanted to have my own team of superpowered beings with that detail, basically.
So if I'm looking at the characters here, we saw Earth in the back. We've seen fire and lightning. Lightning is its own elemental,
Yeah.
sort of like an electrical elemental. And it's different from air, which I'm guessing is the little guy down here in the lower corner.
No, air is the guy with his arms crossed.
Gotcha.
Right.
Water.
So then you've got water. Then next to wind, between wind and lightning, you have dark.
Okay.
The little demonic person, and then lightning, and then the little guy's light.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got some separations here where some people might say, well, this is actually a manifestation of this larger one. You've said, no, light and lightning and fire are three different things entirely.
Yes. That's what I said. Like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, lightning is basically a specialization of fire. When you're a very good firebender, you can bend with lightning. In my story, that's not the case. I just published on my Instagram page. You guys can find me there at your own time under at Aleandro_VS, and Twitter as well. But I published Lightning's trading card recently, and under her, under the post, I was describing her power, right? And their powers in general. It's like, some people were like, is this like Thor meets Storm or something? Like, no. This is not. These are not superpowers. These are not superheroes. You can see them as superheroes, but that's not who they are, right? They are not. Let's say Thor and Storm, they are the machine, right? Through which the lightning is going. Lightning is the fuel. Okay? She is the lightning that Thor is using, and the same lightning that Storm uses, and every lightning that ever was, electricity, whatever.
Shazam.
Yeah. Huh?
Shazam.
Shazam, anything you can think of that is electrical in any way, including the electrons in our atoms. That is her domain. And the same goes for her siblings. Whatever you can associate to darkness or fire or light or air, not necessarily, doesn't have to be air. It could be gases of any type, water, earth, fauna, you name it. So yeah, that's their domain.
Interesting when you talk about lightning and her. Was there anything about any of these elements that guided you in the way you gendered them?
Yeah, a little bit. I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to resemble the Power Rangers a little bit, and historically, if I'm not mistaken, the Yellow Ranger was a female. But I think that was like a subconscious choice. Since the moment I created them, they had these genders. At the beginning, I even thought perhaps I would make them genderless, right?
Right.
But that's not practical. storytelling wise, how are you going to refer to them, and so on and so on. A similar problem arose when, originally I had planned to give them names, human names. That is not the case any longer. They'll simply keep their names, because nobody's going to assume that you are the embodiment of fire just because your name is fire. Okay,
So,
so
so even as humans, they're going to use their elemental names.
they're going to use the elemental names, and people are just going to think they're weird, quirky family.
Yeah.
Um,
Your parents really hated you.
yeah.
But you know what? There probably are people wandering around with those names. My name's Wind. I've met a number of Rivers. So yeah, you just throw them over there with River and Apple, and hello, meet Earth and Fire.
Yeah, that's right. I'm on my phone and it's on 11%. If you want to, I don't know, go through the chat for like a minute or two, I'll go grab my charger and I'll be right back. Is that okay?
Yeah, go grab your charger. Just
right.
walk away. We'll keep this going here.
All right, just give me a sec.
So we are talking about the columns of creation, and this is on Indiegogo. It is ready to be signed up for, so you can get on the mailing list. Of course, there are always advantages to getting on the mailing list because, and I'll make sure that Alex is in line with this. But usually, if you sign up for the mailing list, you become eligible for early bird packages. So while we're here, why don't I just sign up for it, and I'll agree to the terms and privacy. I'm already on the newsletter, so I don't have to do that again. We'll just take care of that right now for us. And by the way, if you ever want to direct somebody to us to interview, or you want to get on the show yourself, you can. Of course, you can always reach out to us on Twitter at Critical Blast. In the DM, they're open to everybody. But if you're getting off Twitter, because there seems to be a mass exodus, we are also on Minds at Critical Blast. Wherever you want to go, we are at Critical Blast. We're on every social media platform that we can find, and we've kept it consistent. Or if you just want to talk in depth about the show and show us some of the stuff you'd like to bring onto it, you can email us. We have an email at specifically for the show. It is podcast@criticalblast.com. You just saw me enter criticalblast@criticalblast.com. That's sort of our generic email address. But you can definitely reach out to us at podcast@criticalblast.com. And if you are interested in the Critical Blast logistics plan to find out how we're going to bring shipping down from what it costs to ship from the UK and Australia and Italy and China and what have you, to a rate that is competitive and kind of sort of beats what you'll see for some of your domestic shippers already, you can email us for information at logistics@criticalblast.com. So we've got the email addresses all piled up. They all come into the same folder anyway, so it just kind of helps us separate them. You can make up something at criticalblast.com, and we'll probably see it. Alex, you're back. Do you have power? You have power, but no audio.
I don't have audio?
Oh, there you are. You're back now. It kind of popped out. So we were talking about the elemental forces having human forms now.
That's
living
right.
on Earth. Of course, they're going to go into some sort of a confrontation with Paradox. Does Paradox's meaning have, or does his name have any meaning to what a paradox really is, or is it sort of like parallax?
Well, I thought, obviously his name will be used, will have meaning in the way he acts, in the paradoxicality of life, which can be seen as sometimes like a joke, and a cruel joke, in fact. And that's certainly the case for him. So, but I can't tell you too much about that. But let's just say that, I'm not going to give somebody a name like that and then just let it hang out there, not really giving any real meaning. Originally, the idea was to make him the embodiment of paradoxes. But it's like, how the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah.
What does it even mean? A paradox is, it could be anything. It's more of a concept than a thing that can be nailed down in any way. So it could have been done, but I liked the idea of a black hole more, and sort of like mixing the two things together, a black hole and a paradox. I kind of justify it by saying, a black hole is a living paradox, right? In the sense that a black hole is death in the middle of life. So you have this whatever it is, that we know for certain will kill us if we cross it. But where is it? Where is it situated? In the middle of space, where, if you ask me, life thrives in a way, even if it's not life in the way that we traditionally think of, flowers and animals and people. There's like a quiet noise, a quiet calming noise, I would imagine, in space, even though they say sound doesn't travel there. In my mind, I like to imagine there is a quiet white noise of nebulous burning in the far distance, and I don't know, it makes me feel calm. And paradox, a black hole is just there in the middle of all of that, and it's death, and we know it's death for us. But then, like I said, is it really death? So that's the idea behind paradox, really.
All right. Yeah, I hate characters that get named something and then the name has nothing to do with their powers and no one ever explains why it has that particular name.
Yeah.
For me, if I ever got the chance to go to DC, or more than likely buy one of the characters away from them when they have the big yard sale, I want to buy Grifter, because I'm absolutely certain that in the Image days they're like, hey, check this guy out. He's got the duster jacket on here, and he looks like that Western character, High Plains Grifter. No. So I would take him and I would make him a sort of an anti-hero who gets around serving justice by conning people, and actually make him a grifter, and have him do his job by his name. No one ever does that. Goes in and shoots.
If the people working at the Big Two really gave a shit about comics, what they would do is, since they're failing, and they have failed us for a long time, they would look at the indie crowd, whatever it is, even Kickstarter, with its interesting banners and such, and they would find the best comics, the best creators, the best artists, the best colorists and letterers, a fresh, brand new generation of creators, and they would hire them to write the characters that these people would choose to write, and give them a fresh new take, do with them things that have never been done before, but they don't care. So that's never gonna happen, and it's okay that way. You know why? Because then they would be taking away from the indie scene, indie creators. It's not for sure that an indie creator would leave, but let's be honest, if Marvel or DC are going to contact you, even with all their bullshit, you are not going to turn the phone call down. You're going to at least listen to them, and listen to them very carefully, because you don't have to be like all the other crappy writers are that they've had up until now. You can be the exception, so
I don't know if I'd want to work for him anymore. Anyway, because, who was it that I was talking to in on a YouTube chat just this last week? Sean Gordon Murphy, and he was talking about the some of the weird stuff that goes on at DC, and he would never go back to Marvel. And I was like, oh, really? Can you tell us anything about the stuff that went on behind the scenes at Marvel? And he's like, no, because I signed a do not signed
non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, NDA. He can't talk about it. So I would never be any place that would say you have to shut up about everything that goes on here.
Yeah.
Because I would break that by accident. I'd keep running my mouth too much.
Yeah. I mean, well, there could be a whole number of reasons why the NDA is necessary. They discuss rates and stuff like that. Although the rates are public, I don't know. Like, I work for a company as well. I can't just go outside and start telling people, let's say, things that are on my contract, right? That I'm not supposed to say, because the contract, it's sensitive information on there. There are things that I can't disclose, like even, let's say, if a customer leaves us their details, let's say.
Yeah.
That's sensitive data. So I don't know, but Marvel and DC are weird. We all know that there's something wrong going on over there, and it's always been the case. There's nothing new there. So, but let's not worry about them, right? We have our own playground over here. We're having a lot of fun. We're doing our thing, and we don't need them.
Exactly, and we're putting out better stories. You guys are putting out better stories. I write nothing in comic books. You have another. Oh, this is going to be a video here. I just clicked across the headers.
You can click. It's got no sound.
Okay, this is. These are nice. These are 3D prints, I'm guessing.
Yes, that's basically. I'm thinking because of course I have a lot of ideas. I'm thinking in the future I want to make 3D prints of the characters, and they'll probably be part of a more expensive tier, since of course they're 3-dimensional, and you understand shipping. They would be more costly to ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we I am considering doing that, and I paid a guy who did a great job with Fire. And people have, some people have seen it and they've been impressed, and that's what I like. I want them to know that I am not, because people don't know me as a creator in CG and stuff. I'm a no bullshit kind of guy. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, and I'm paying for all this stuff. There was no crowdfunding for those pages, for the trading cards, for this. This is all coming out of my pocket. I spent like $2,000 on this project so far, and I'm never going to make that money back, just to make that clear. And the crowdfunding, the actual campaign, which will most likely be require $15,000, none of that money is coming to me. $8,000 is going to the creative team to produce 44 pages of pure amazingness, and then the rest is going towards shipping and printing. So that's how much that's how much I care about this project, really.
Yeah, it's expensive, especially if you're not the artist yourself, and you've got to pay somebody.
Yeah,
that's work for hire. They've got to be paid up front. There's no hey, this is crowdfunding. If it does really well, you can make some money. They're like, no, I'm not going to waste my time on that. I've got other people wanting to hire me for my work.
Yeah. Well, you could find people who would work for free, but obviously they would probably be shit. They would probably be new starters, people who don't really understand how the industry works. They would not be reliable. I can't even see the messages from here.
George is just talking about he's going, wow, all the money it takes to actually produce a book. It's expensive if you want to produce a quality book. And George, by the way, is huge in the CG community for doing 3D prints for a lot of campaigns. So he came in at the right time to see your 3D print here of Fire that was done by Nicola. That's a gorgeous sculpture too, by the way, and it's just the right color too.
Yeah, right.
That's a nice bronze fire-looking color.
That's right. He did a great job. He really did. He captured his personality, I think, and made him look godly in a way. I'm in love with it.
Yeah. Do you have one of these, or is this just the render?
I don't have one of these because I would have to buy a 3D printer, which is again more expensive. But you can buy a 3D printer for a relatively cheap amount of money. But again, there's no reason to, because there's no reason to print these beauties quite yet.
George, at Aleandro _BS on Twitter.
Yes, please.
Yes, you two need to talk if you haven't got a printer yet. I thought this was your printer. But yeah, you can work with George, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what the cost would be for one of these things built into your crowdfund. Yeah, there you contact me. TBD Inc. Or I'm not getting your.
It's all right. I'll just rewatch this later just to make sure I didn't fuck anything up, and I'll just I'll contact him.
Yeah. Because George has a campaign where he's done a 3D print of his main character, and his second campaign is coming up. He's doing a 3D print of the spaceship that the character has. And I'm seriously, it's 2.5 feet long of a spaceship, almost 3 feet long. Yeah, it's TBDE Inc. I was getting things wrong there. Yeah, rewatch that. Hit him up. You'll want to talk and see his other 3D prints that he's doing physically. His whole house is nothing but 3D printers in every room now because he's in home, and that's his business. So he's doing business and he's doing CG action figures.
That's fantastic.
So what else we looking at? Colors versus black and white. So you got some pages here, because I don't think we saw pages on what we saw in the video. So yeah, these are beautiful.
Thank you. So the artist's name is Mattia Monaco. The colorist's name is Carlos Moreno, and I already told you the letterist. And yeah, they went above and beyond my wildest expectations. And I couldn't be happier to work with anybody, really.
Now, are the siblings always together, or are they like eons apart from each other, or light years apart from each other?
They're not always together, but sometimes they are required to be together. For example, and I had to cut this out of the comic book due to trying to condense it down to the most character driven and action driven sort of scenes, right? I want to put out a 44-page comic that is worth reading, and it will be. But originally, there was sort of a scene where we see the creation of the Earth. And when something like that takes place, they need to come together and use all of their abilities. So the way it would be is that fire would create the core of the planet, and then Earth would sort of like create wrap his body, his arms would extend into vines that would then wrap around the core, and then detach from him and sort of become the base of our planet. And then and soil and such, and then from the fumes produced by this the wood and the soil being wrapped around a burning core, from the fumes you would have lightning's intervention in basically making it rain and creating a storm of some sort. And then that rain that drops down to the earth would be molded and shaped into rivers and seas and oceans by water's intervention. And then light creates the sun, dark creates the moon. And am I missing somebody? So that's yeah. And of course, wind creates the atmosphere around the earth, so and allows it to spin. He flies around it and makes the earth, gives earth its gravity and its ability to spin, basically. So yeah, they pull together their abilities and they create planets. But sometimes if they just need to create a star or whatever, they don't need to be all together.
Yeah. So I'm wondering now. Uh, your big guy in the family is Earth, and the planet is named Earth. And I'm wondering, is there any connection? Did they know that when they made this planet that it was going to be something special
I
as
appreciate
opposed
that
to any of the
question.
other planets?
I appreciate that question. Yes, actually, this is also one of the things that was removed from the final product. Basically, in the first, what was supposed to be the first issue, you had Fire going off to a mysterious place, which will no longer be part of the story, called the Positive Room. And why? Because he's depressed. Fire has depression, in a way, existential depression, and Fire is also the leader of the Conflict Creation. So when he's found and he comes back to his siblings that had come together to arrange, a search for him, there is a bit of an argument between him and Wind. Well, there isn't really an argument. Is Wind, Fire doesn't really argue. He's not that type of character. He's very submissive. He's very, he lacks confidence, but he's a very lovable and positive guy, right? Wind is lovable in different ways, but he's very, he's very conservative in the way he thinks. He thinks that duty should come before anything else, and if you're not capable of performing your duties, then you should, you should let other people who are better than you do the things that you obviously not good at. And Wind, is a natural born leader. He's always been jealous of his brother because he knew that he's always wanted to be the leader, and he knows that he would be better than him. And so he's very much, he always antagonizes his brother. So there is an argument, and Earth, the character, intervenes during this argument, and he's like, a true leader doesn't put others down. He brings the best out of them. That's sort of like, his line. And Wind leaves in that moment, and at that point they're like, what are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do next? What is our next move? We shall create a planet, Fire says, and we shall call it Earth, sort of like a thank you, right, to Earth for his kindness and for defending him, basically. It's like a silly little thing that came out of a gesture of kindness, essentially.
Okay, but so there is a connection. I didn't think there wouldn't be one, because it just made sense that there would be. And I love watching Fire here think about, gosh, what's it like? He's sitting on an asteroid, floating through the brilliance of the cosmos, on fire, and he's like, look at that fat tub of lard eating a cheeseburger. Man, I wish I was him.
Yeah.
You've got this perfect body. You don't even have a body. That's just a visual representation of one. Now, I can see him wanting some of the other stuff, but maybe they'd think that was gross too. But I like his eyes roll back. He says, "Oh, moving on." He's experiencing all these things with them. Okay, very nice. I'm not even sure how far out from Earth he is observing, or if he's just kind of like.
Well, if you go back to the previous page, he's
just outside the atmosphere.
That's right. Now, don't think about it too much, right? Like, the planet was supposed to be that purple planet behind him, but my colorist did his thing, and and I didn't want to complicate things. So to me, the planet is what we see below Fire, right?
Okay.
The blue, because of course the ocean and stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a fictional world, so there could totally be something there that doesn't exist outside our actual atmosphere.
We have 2 moons.
That's right.
He's in the elemental plane. There's a lot of stuff there.
That's right. So just pretend that like the blue thing is planet Earth, and that's where he is basically. It's just outside.
This is all very cool. I love what I'm seeing here. So, is there any more here that I should bring up on the video? I mean, you got all your backstory. You got your journey start. Wow, these are your own sketches, I'm guessing.
These are my sketches. These are the very first sketches of the characters,
and they look nothing at all like what your artist has turned them into. I mean, I can see the beginnings of some of them. I mean,
well, to be completely honest, their looks. I sort of finalized their looks before the artist took them on. The one that had the most changes was Earth. So if you go up, I can show you that on the cover page at the bottom, it will show my version. I drew a cover in the past. You will see my characters on there.
Oh, I'm sorry. You meant down on the same page. Go to the bottom.
Yes. If you go down. No, I might be journey start. Let's see.
I'm on journey start now.
Right. So those you see the versions of the pages. Those 6 pages, but my versions. And
Gotcha.
but actually, the page you want to go to is the cover page.
All right.
Right.
Oh, it's down here.
So if you scroll down.
I did not know there was more. Okay,
go.
yeah.
So
good call. Good call hiring an artist. Very good call.
Yeah. Thanks. I was pretty happy with this. I had never drawn like a cover before. So I felt pretty excited. But obviously I'm nowhere near the level required to, and if you go on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, you will find projects that
absolutely
look bad. Even worse than this. To be completely honest, my anatomy is pretty decent, especially because I use reference and stuff. But it's nothing that would warrant $15,000 of goal. That's for sure. And so this is what my characters look like. This is their final look before my artist took them on. And so as you can see, Earth is the one that underwent the most changes. In my version,
in here there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Earth now literally looks like the Earth was given some arms and a face.
That's right.
And fire is definitely a lot more dynamic and fluid looking. So this is all good. Still got the aqua dynamic fish fin head.
The composition, yeah. He used that as a reference to my cover, to his cover. I mean, and I'm actually glad he did, because it makes it more special. It's like my version lives on through his beautiful art.
So, do you know what kind of things you might be putting into the campaign when you launch? Because you haven't launched yet, so you got time to think all this out.
Well, so far, this is going to be a very simple campaign. We don't want to confuse anybody, especially myself. So we're going to have like maybe 3 versions of this book. 2 will be colored with different covers, and 1 will be a black and white version. But they will all be the same price, $25.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a PDF perk, and that perk it will not get any stretch goals, even paradox trading card, because if you sign up to the pre-launch page now, which if you guys are watching, I hope you did, or if you watch later, if you sign up to the pre-launch page, thanks, Lucifer, you will get a paradox trading card. And that trading card, for the record, can only be obtained by signing up to the pre-launch page and then backing at any physical perk. Throughout the campaign, we will unlock other trading cards, which I'm gonna tell you more in a second. But let's say that we unlock all of them. Paradox trading card might be the only one you will be missing if you don't sign up now. So even if you're on the fence about it, go ahead, sign up. It's free. Help indie creators out. Help a kid out.
The cat watched me do this very thing while you were hunting down your power cord. And I was telling them, I said, I bet there's going to be a special thing that you can only get if you've signed up for the newsletter, or for the mailing list. So get in on the mailing list now.
That's right. Get in on the mailing list. And if you go on my Instagram at @Aleandro_VS, you find the full Paradox trading card and other trading cards that I've posted so far. They are really, really beautiful. You don't want to miss them out. But so, yeah, throughout the campaign, I'm thinking there will be maybe a couple of stretch goals that will unlock the other trading cards. And then a bigger perk that will contain, say, PDF, all the versions, or maybe just 2 of the versions. We'll see. And another trading card. So that will be another thing. Earth's trading card, because Earth seems to be everyone's favorite design, will only be obtainable if you get the sort of the last perk, which I think will be maybe $60. And for a product of this quality, to be completely honest with you, I don't see why not, you guys. It will be worth it. I promise it.
So
You're
looking at the book being $25. Do you have a page count in mind here as to how big this is going to be? I know it's a 2-part story, so what we're getting is the first part of the story arc.
Well, it's gonna be more than a 2-part story, but the first arc will be a 2-part story.
Okay.
Yes, there'll be more arcs.
So how big is the book? Are you planning on making the book for this campaign, the one that comes with this one?
Well, it will be 44 pages of content. I'm still pondering whether or not, I'll add additional pages, process pages perhaps. So we'll see about that. But, people don't buy the comic for process pages. They can find all of those for free on my Instagram anyway.
Sure.
They buy them for the comic book. So there will at least definitely be 44 pages, and it will be perfect bound.
Okay, so it's going to be that square bound spine on that one. Yeah, at least 44 pages. I know that a lot of people don't like process stuff. Some people do. They do like character profiles, though. So are you going to have like artists other than your main artist give their representation of what a character looks like?
We'll see. The goal was calculated based on a certain number of pages. If I start adding pages, then I have to change my goal.
Yep.
Due to print.
There's a stretch goal. You hit 20,000, you can get 6 character sheets added to the book or something like that, or 8.
That's right. Yeah, that's something that we could do. That's something that we definitely could do. But as of right now, I'm thinking the stretch goals will unlock trading cards basically, and I'm thinking just a couple stretch goals basically. 2 stretch goals will unlock 2 trading cards each, for a total of 4 additional trading cards, and you want them all because
yeah.
I'm actually pondering on creating a trading card binder in the future to collect the trading cards, because I'm thinking of creating more trading cards for the stories to come. If we get to tell those stories, there will be some really awesome trading cards that can be added to that collection. And so at that point, you want to have a binder to collect them all.
Absolutely. So you have like a columns of creation cover on a 3-ring binder to keep your card sheets in.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be very cool. Trying to think what else I should be talking about here. I had my brain was going in one direction and then I let it go. I didn't follow it. So I don't know where it got to from there. you're seeing more stories in the future though from this. So you're looking at ongoing. This is not just a 2-part. Thank you, I'm done with my story now. This is you're seeing a long time future for this.
Yes, not too long, because I have other stories that I want to tell, that hopefully will be just as awesome. And I have all ages stories that I want to tell as well. One in particular that I'm really excited to get to. But just to make it clear, you will get a full story with this first volume, 100%. You'll be able to really enjoy the story, and by the end of it, you will crave for more. And that's the way it should be. Look, if money was no issue, I would put out a 300 pages book. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, like 300 pages right off the bat. um so that you can digest, no condensation. I would just give you 300 pages to really digest the characters, including the fluff, because I like to think that even the fluff is well written. And and that would be it. But in crowdfunding, it is not doable. We're still young. Crowdfunding is still young. We're still trying to, just like you, um, we're always trying to work on ways that we can sort of resolve certain issues, such as shipping prices and the cost of a comic. Why is it $25 for a 44-page book, when a 25-page book put out by Marvel is $5? Well, that's because they can afford it. When you are nobody, such as myself and all the other people who put out comic books on Indiegogo and Kickstarter and so on, you have a team of people that you need to pay. You have shipping costs. You have a whole bunch of stuff. The products that you put out to, stretch goals. You have to pay for these things. So as we try to navigate the future of crowdfunding and make it cheaper, more accessible for everybody, um, right now you get to buy a beautiful comic that is $25, yes, but it's got amazing art, very, very good story inside, with a premise that you might have heard before, the Eternals, Vision, whatever, but it's approached in a very different new way, with new characters that are very well rounded. And there's action, there are superpowers. I mean, what else do you want?
That's got everything I need in a comic book. So do you think it's going to launch summer? I mean, I know you said you don't have a date yet, but surely you have some kind of an idea.
Well, I had an idea. I've been saying months up until now, but that is necessarily no longer the case. If I feel so inclined, I might launch next month. It really depends. So you guys make sure that you sign up to the pre-launch page. There's no time to think about it. Just sign up, because it could launch at any time, honestly.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. The pre-launch page is what we were showing. The link to that is right below the description here. Get out there, put in your email address, get on the sign-up sheet for this one, so that when you go in and back the project after launch, only the people who signed up will be able to get that Paradox trading card. Even if you get all the other trading cards that are offered later on, only you will be able to get that one. So put your name in and get it done.
And make sure, guys, please, that you confirm that you signed up. You will receive an email by Indiegogo. Just click on confirm. And also, one more thing before I forget, you can find me on YouTube as well, Aleandro VS. My channel is not at work yet, but there is a playlist there called crowdfunding. And if you go to it, you'll find all of these videos where I talk about the comic book. So if I miss something, if I forgot to say something here, or if you just want to watch someone else interview me, a variety of interviewers, you can find all those videos there.
All right, excellent. Definitely check him out on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, but most importantly right now on Indiegogo, because that's where you need to go sign up if you actually want to get in on this project. So
That's right.
Alex, thank you so much for popping in and spending the time with us. As usual, everybody in the chat, we want to say thank you for coming in and watching this. We're going to have another stream coming up very shortly after this. It's not scheduled, so you'll have to watch for a message to pop up saying it's coming. And to get those, you've got to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell for notifications, and you'll see us coming back here real soon this afternoon. Alex, you have a good day. And we hope everybody here had a blast.